All right, we are officially live, and I want to welcome everybody to our second mental health chat with local psychiatrist Dr. Kent Comeau, and we're going to be following up on our chat from a couple of months ago about dealing with mental health during the pandemic, and this time really focusing on how to boost our moods. And we've got self-advocates Amber and Ken with us today. So welcome, Amber and Ken.
Hello.
Awesome. And welcome, Dr. Kent Comeau. It is so great to have you with us again.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here again.
Awesome. So before we get started, I also want to acknowledge that we are so lucky and grateful to be able to practice what we do on the land of the Lekwungen speaking people. And what a beautiful place it is. I know for me, I certainly get a good mental health boost from being able to go explore the beautiful lands that we are so lucky to live on. So anyways, let's jump into some of this mental health chat. So how is everybody feeling these days?
I would like this to end sometime soon.
Yeah. It just keeps lingering on, eh? I mean, yeah, we're still in this pandemic.
Well, see, my thought with the pandemic is you hear about it, then you switch it off.
Yeah, you kind of just need to tune out sometimes. Is that what you mean, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to tune in first thing in the morning, get the numbers for the island, and then we change channel.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm so ready for this to be done too. I think we're all in that boat. We're a year into this now, which is wild. But we're also learning to function, I think, in it now too. We're starting to pick up some of those strategies that help us. And that's a little bit what we're going to be talking about today, right, Dr. Comeau?
Yeah, like last time we talked about how tough and demotivating and how do we, how has this pandemic made things more difficult and how it's affecting our mood. And, we find ourselves still, having to deal with it. And I think today we kind of figured we would talk a little bit about, we're so aware of what we can't do, but to start to think about like, what can we do and why does that work? And how can we actually boost our mood and get more motivation during a time that's really tough and it's hard to be motivated. Energy can be sucked out of you a little bit, right? Especially the longer that this drags on. So kind of thought maybe it'd be a good opportunity to talk about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, should we dive in? Should I pull up some slides here?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
So we're going to talk a bit about boosting our mood. So the thing is that when it comes to anxiety, typically what our inclination is to avoid. If we feel uncomfortable, maybe getting out of the house, having to be in line or crowds of people, at the grocery store, for instance, we might want to avoid. And that actually might provide us some relief and say, you know what, I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to order my groceries. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's really useful. And I do that sometimes. But then if we're feeling depressed or down, the tendency is that we want to isolate and we don't want to be seen by other people. Maybe stay in bed and then our energy starts to go down. And I guess the thing is about that is that when we either avoid or we isolate, you can imagine how that becomes a bit of a vicious cycle. So say, you're feeling unmotivated, you're depressed, you don't want to get out of bed, so you don't do much. You don't do the activities that you enjoy. And so your energy goes down, and because your energy is down, you even have less motivation and you do less, you feel more depressed, and the cycle continues on. So one thing that we can do is when we understand that cycle, we can start to make changes in that and find ways to break that cycle. And when it comes to feeling low and unmotivated, the tough part is that, and the thing we have to realize is that we can't, do not want to wait until we feel like doing it and having the mood, because oftentimes it just doesn't, it may not come, and we get, again, that vicious cycle. So instead, we, on purpose, we have the intention of planning activities that we know are going to help boost our mood, or we maybe don't avoid, and we face our fears because we know that that's going to, lead us to living a more, a life that we enjoy and engage in life a bit more. So the one thing that I recommend trying is actually not doing anything different, but simply tracking your mood with something called a mood diary. So we've got an example here of an activity diary, and simply what I recommend you do is to you could even just get a blank piece of paper and write out, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way to Sunday, and then you could break it down into morning, afternoon, and evening. And then what you do is you write down, what did you do? So for instance, in this example on Monday, bus to work for this individual, and their mood was 3 out of 10 at that time. And then later that day they went to work and their mood continued to be 3 out of 10. In the afternoon, they went to coffee with a colleague at work and their mood actually boosted up. It went to 6 out of 10. And then they went back to work and it dropped back down 3 out of 10. By the time they got home and in the evening, they watched TV and it was 4 out of 10. And then even later, they kept watching TV and it went all the way down to 2 out of 10. And so you can do this every day and just get curious and become aware of how our mood actually tends to fluctuate. And what you can then do is after that week, you start to look and notice the times and the activities where you're feeling the best and the worst. And for this individual, you might say, wow, like every time I watched TV, my mood was say 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. And then after watching it for a long time, my mood went even lower. So then you might think, interesting. A certain amount of TV actually is worse for my mood. And other things you might notice for this individual in this example is that, going coffee with a colleague at work boosted the mood 6 out of 10. Or the other one, going for a run on Saturday morning actually, really boosted the mood to 7 out of 10. So we can start to notice what actually helps and doesn't help. And then with that information, we can start to plan activities. And that's where this activity planning diary comes in, where you break down the week and then you actually plan activities that is going to give you energy and give you a boost and help your mood. And especially if we have it planned, we're much more likely to do it. If we're very specific, I'm going to do it in the morning this day. It's nice to have a plan, especially if your tendency is to be amotivated and feeling down, right? So then what you could do is you could try these things out and then you could actually re-rate your mood after and see if it does provide a bit of a boost. And the reason why that this works is we're obviously going to be more motivated to do things that we actually enjoy. And the reason for that is because we release a chemical in the brain called dopamine. And anything that we find pleasure in, whether it's eating our favorite food, getting a hug, spending time with friends, listening to music or watching a show that we really enjoy, all these things release dopamine, and that's why that's the enjoyment signal to the brain. So then we can start to think about what are some activities we could do. So going for a bike ride, listening to music, walking in nature, talking to someone, doing a puzzle, hike, soaking in a bathtub, going out, exercising, maybe reading a book. And so really finding out what it is for you that you actually enjoy doing and planning those activities to help break that cycle. And what you might find is that by doing those and planning those activities, you're going to start to get a bit of momentum. You're going to want to do more. And all of a sudden, you know, you've built your life and new routine, new things to do. And of course, that's going to be a bit tough during a pandemic. But we got to get creative and find ways to do it. And this is all within, you know, anyone can do this. And it's within the realm of possibility of finding some activities. So that's some of the stuff I wanted to talk about. But I'm interested in having a bit of a discussion around this with everybody, see what they think. Because it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Comeau. That was really cool to look through that and yeah, think a little bit more about some of those strategies.
Yeah.
What did you?
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious what Ken and Amber, and then Jen too. I'm curious what you have to think.
The way you talked about it was good. The slides were good. Even the mood journal. I'm journaling all the time.
Cool. Super helpful. It provides data, and it's a nice way to become aware of how certain activities affect our mood.
I'm very used to the mood tracking journal because I live with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So there's a lot of things that I need to do to kind of help me keep kind of track of the day. And so when I did training through White Crow Village, it actually taught me how to do that type of thing, as well as being able to put food in the equation as well to keep our blood levels even. It's good to see it in pictures though, rather than reading it, because some of them I came across, it was all like words. So I like the pictures. Yeah.
Awesome. And Amber, how did you find the mood tracking helpful?
It is helpful because you can see kind of where it's taught me the certain things that I need to be aware of if I'm actually doing too much of one thing and needing to change it to something else. And it also helps me kind of track, was it the food that I ate that actually made it a little bit more worse, or that kind of thing, because it can be attached to not having enough food and stuff as well, right? So I found it very helpful.
That's awesome, because I think that's kind of what it's about, right, Dr. Comeau, is bringing that into awareness, you know, really being aware of what's going on and how you're being affected by things.
Totally. And it gives you, you know, a sense of agency and some control, knowing that you can make some changes in your life and that this pandemic or your circumstances isn't going to control completely how you feel emotionally and how you're doing, and that it's empowering in a way to have that ability to know what's going to help me. It's hard to do though. I mean, we kind of all know what we need to do. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, eat healthy, exercise, and all these kinds of things. But it's hard sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when eating healthy. I'm going to tell you, I mean, something with a lot of sugar, it releases a lot of dopamine, actually, right? So that's where it can become a bit of a problem. Sometimes just because it gives us a lot of dopamine doesn't mean it's necessarily good for us in the long term. So that's where it gets a bit complicated there too. But yeah, I mean, I think if we're not doing much activity, you can imagine how that just kind of sucks the life out of you. And yeah, this is just like a good little strategy to overcome that a little bit.
I found I had to just finally get brave and go to the pool, because for the longest time I was like, I can't, because I'm nervous about getting sick and all of that kind of stuff. And in the last couple of weeks, I was like, okay, you schedule a lane, you do your training, and then you go, right? So you're right, you just kind of have to like jump in there and go, because I was quite nervous. I mean, I'm still nervous, but not trying to let it wrap around my head so much. And with what Ken said earlier, I made the mistake of listening to the radio every day, because I actually listened to CBC a lot. Finally, I had to turn it off because it was causing me to have a lot of anxiety.
Has it, Amber, has it gotten easier to go to the pool every time you've gone now?
Okay, so I've done it like 4 times. You know what? If I allow myself to what I would call rile before I get going, like in terms of getting dressed, then it makes it difficult. Whereas when I wake up and I say we're going, everything will be fine, keep it a positive thing, and not give myself enough time to think about it, then I'm actually okay. If I overthink it, like if I wake up overthinking it, then it's hard. But yeah, so it's kind of up and down.
Cool. You found some good strategies. You're realizing how your thinking can get in the way and cause you anxiety. You just do it. It's kind of like,
Ken, were you gonna add something?
Yeah. The thing I was gonna add was I find if you're getting stressed out, put a CD in that you like, piece of music.
Yeah, isn't that a great way to change your mood, right? Totally.
And my service dog helps a lot too, because she's here and we go for walks a lot too. So having dogs can actually be helpful as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's so key too, is just being aware of those little tools that you have that do help you boost your mood. So like in the slides we were going through and, talking about some of those activities that can really help out, but, it's not the same for everybody. We all have different things that really resonate with us. So yeah, I agree. And for me, my dog is huge for that. Oh, sorry, what's that, Ken?
Tanya said to say hi to Dr. Comeau.
Oh,
nice.
Tanya was our self-advocate on our last one. You get a shout out.
Thanks for the shout out. I love it.
But yeah, just kind of being aware of all of those activities that you have that do make you feel good. So I like this idea, Dr. Comeau, of writing things down. Because like you said, a lot of us are aware of those things that we should or could be doing, but putting things down on paper makes it more tangible, more real. And for me, and I'm sure it happens to lots of people, is sometimes you don't even realize how long it's been since you've done that thing that really makes you feel good. But once you see it on paper, like, oh, okay, well, I could be doing that a lot more to be helping myself. I like these ideas.
Let's say about your dog, Jen. You were saying something about your dog.
Oh, I was agreeing with you that hanging out with my dog is one of my mood boosters too. Yeah, okay. If I'm feeling down, I can just go curl up beside him or give him a little pet. And there's something about a dog. They always make me happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, even seeing dogs walking on the street makes me feel happy.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Like, if you know that dogs make you happy, and maybe you don't have a dog, finding ways to tap into that. And if it's watching TV shows with dogs, or going to the dog park and like having that as a planned activity, or setting up a Zoom meeting with a friend who has their dog, those kinds of things. Having pictures of dogs in your house, or having on your Instagram feed, dog videos. Like, that's a great way to tap into the things that we enjoy. And maybe the pandemic has taken away some opportunities. For instance, I can't play hockey anymore because we're not allowed to do that. But what is it about hockey that I enjoy? Competition, being with other people. So I've been able to do that by playing golf now. So just finding unique ways and brainstorming ideas and tapping into those things that we enjoy, that we can do. Right?
And being patient is one of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's quite the... Oh, here we go. Amber, I love your background.
There's Glimmer. We can all get a little mood boost just from looking at that.
Yeah. No, I think patience is a huge thing too. Being kind to ourselves.
That's a huge one.
sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but I was gonna say, I just curious as to, do you think that this event is actually gonna leave lasting effects on people? Like, because you keep hearing it on the news, but it would be interesting to know from your perspective if it's gonna leave lasting effects on people that they're gonna have to kind of deal with for quite a while.
Mm. And lasting effects in what way? Do you mean like physically?
Well, at first I thought, and you go ahead and laugh because I'm being honest. I thought if I wasn't neurotic before, I'm definitely neurotic now, because it's like, don't touch that, don't do that, like, and don't stand too close. I'm kidding, of course, but you know, for some people that might actually be absorbed the wrong way and they can't actually get rid of it anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really good. It's a good thing. Like, you know, when you're in it, it just feels like it's always going to be this way. But in fact, you know, humanity and the world has dealt with stuff like this before, right? And it's not always at the forefront of our mind, but when the news and everyone's talking about it, obviously, you know, it does. It's yeah, we think about it a lot. And the other thing is we just have to come to a place to realize not like things are always changing. Nothing is ever the same, right? Like, and there can be some really good things that come from this. And there's been some really bad, you know, like adverse things that have happened because of this. But I think ultimately we always find a way to come together and we get through it. And you know, maybe it'll teach us how we realize how fortunate we are in certain aspects and the importance of connection, you know, not taking things as much for granted, right? We don't know how things are going to play out. I have hope in terms of we will get through this and life will go on.
I know we will get through it. It's just a matter of what shape we're going to be when we do go back to work.
Yeah, great question. It's a good thing to talk about, and I think it's good to talk about some of those worries with other people, because I don't think you're the only one who has this concern, right?
I think it's made us more aware of how, as a world, we are a world, like, because it affected like everybody, not just like us, but all over the world. Like, I think the thing I miss though the most out of all of it is the church element of, because you can't do it as a group. That's one of the things I miss the most.
So maybe it's been a reminder of that, right? That we
I
don't
happen
realize.
to agree with Amber.
Yeah. Do you agree? Yeah.
Well, that's part of the connection thing. I'm sure, Amber, so you have such wonderful connections there, and so it's hard to miss out on those. And kind of like you were saying, Dr. Comeau, like looking for other ways that you can like get little parts of that can still help support our mental health. So even, you know, connecting through virtual means like this is, you know, can be really helpful in that regard. So yeah. Well, oh my gosh, the time is flying quickly. Well, it's been so great having you all here to join us for chats about things that are really so important. So I want to say huge thank you to Amber and Ken, and thank you so much, Dr. Comeau, for joining us again.
I always love doing it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll have you back anytime.
Yeah, and if people have, you know, topics that they would hope we talk about next time, let Jen know. Check out their website, LifeStreams.ca.
You got it.
There will be some handouts. Is that correct, Jen?
That's right. So like the trackers that Dr. Comeau was showing us examples of today, we've done up a couple of kind of little templates. So if anybody is interested in doing some mood tracking at home or creating a little basic weekly plan to incorporate those activities, we've got templates that we have put on the event page for this event. And once we get this recording edited, we'll include them on the video archive page with the video as well. So
I think that's good. Good
And
idea.
next time, I'll try to figure out how to get a cool background.
Mm.
I don't think you'll be able to do it though, because you're actually at work. I don't think they'll let you do that.
Maybe that's why. Well, maybe I just need to jazz my office up and actually get the
Maybe.
I think that's it.
Actually, maybe we can send some art his way, Chad.
Hey,
I
would
was just
love-
thinking that. I was thinking we should hook them up with some artworks work.
You guys
We've
could
got our
use my
huge
dopamine.
artwork studio at Garth Homer. So.
Hey, I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
Hmm.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks so much to all of you. I hope anybody watching has learned some new things today and gotten something out of this. And we will so look forward to doing this again.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Awesome.